Okay, yeah, our Winnipeg friends jumped in. Matt says, I want to see Hacksaw wearing a Go Jets Go hoodie.
I do have one of those. I'll have to reach into the closet, find it, and we'll add that in. John and I, look at what he's wearing. John and I laugh at each other. I don't own anything in my closet that doesn't have some type of logo on it.
Yeah, you do. Every time you roll in here.
I don't own a suit of clothes. Honest to God, I do not own a suit.
You don't own a suit?
I don't own a suit.
What do you do if you go to a wedding or something? You wear an NFL film?
No, I just wear a sports jacket and khakis, etc.
Well, I've seen you on TV with a suit.
No, it's not a suit.
Oh, it's just a jacket.
I do clean up well on TV on KUSI.
Okay. All right, here, let's go to Callahan or Callan Max Sports. He says, what's the most surprising move made so far on the NHL trade home front?
Oh, boy. I would say the most disgusting move to me is anything related to Calgary, Alberta. I mean, the fact that they're doing this fire sale again just absolutely shocks the daylights out of me. How do you go back and face your fans after what they did just a couple of years ago when they got rid of Johnny Gaudreau, and a couple of other marquee players, and now you've done it again? And I understand these guys are making big bucks. I understand it's been a rough couple of years for Calgary and there's some injuries, etc. But how do you face your fans? That to me is the most shocking thing philosophically of how you operate in your franchise. And I hate to condemn the Ducks because they had a good run and they did get to the Stanley Cup and they just keep trading players away. And look at the number of draft picks we have. Well, those guys, you're in last place and your farm club is in trouble for 3 straight seasons just because you keep doing this. I mean, I do understand you have to trade guys because you can't pay everybody $8 million a season, and that's the going rate for the top stars. And Vancouver is so excited; they're in first place. They got 40 wins, and they are right against the cap. And they've been bold. They've traded future draft picks away, and they're all in to try to win this year. Vancouver 2 years from now is probably going to be feeling some pain. So it's a real tough balancing act, but. Pittsburgh's got a great team, and they're going to trade this 20, 30-goal scorer, Jake Gensel, because they can't re-sign him because everybody else is making so much money. So it's balancing act, player talent, balancing act, age, injury, balancing act, salary cap. Got to do something different.
How are the season ticket sales for the Anaheim Ducks? Are they still doing well? Or
there's more empty seats there. Mm-hmm. I just wonder if anybody's going to wake up one morning and be critical of that organization, because the media in LA and Orange County, it's like everything's beautiful. It can't be beautiful when you've been in the dumper as long as you have. Look at what the Kings have done. I mean, the Kings are an upper echelon team, rebuilt it with the draft, made some bold trades, took on some huge contracts, handed out some huge contracts. Hasn't always worked out, but yet the Kings, if they get to the playoffs hot and they get to the playoffs healthy, Kings are going to be a dangerous hockey team. You can rebuild it, you can fix it, but this continual exit of marquee players, to me, it's just absolutely stunning to me.
It's exhausting as a fan, just when you get attached to a guy, the next thing that he's gone.
Okay. Next question.
Let's go here to Dave. He says, this is so much better than the local sports radio here in Southern Nevada. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. We all do it differently, but we had a great run. What we did on Extra 690 and what we did on the Mighty 1090, the whole landscape has changed. Everybody's management's changed, and everybody's doing it differently. I don't think they're doing it better than we did. Now, maybe we're biased because we were the first ones through the wall, and we did what nobody else had ever done. But you can sit there. This is if I were king, if I were program director, yes, you can sit there and you can talk about your favorite team or the hometown team. We're based in San Diego. So yeah, heavy duty dose of Padre talk. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The world twirls around NFL football.
Oh yeah.
That's huge. And by the way, we got four of the greatest players in the NBA based in Los Angeles. And by the way, there's a certain segment of my audience that are hockey fans. So we're going to do that. And we're going to cover PGA LIV or Tiger Woods controversy or NASCAR, Formula One or Indy. You do all that, you're going to be successful. Why? Because I'm going to hit every hot button of a fan who's got diverse interest. Because they know on my talk show or on my bleeping podcast now, you're going to get the hottest headlines with the opinions and your chance to respond. That's what you have to. If I were king, that's what my sports talk radio station would be. I would not talk lifetime Padres. I would not talk lifetime Raiders. I would not talk lifetime whatever. You got to appeal, John, to all the people out there on the waterfront, including you.
Yeah.
That's how you and I became friends.
That's exactly right. I
you
mean,
regretted every minute of the day.
I just remember in the 1990s, the high-speed sports wire and the deluge of content that came rolling out of my radio in my car. But, you know, a lot of other talk radio guys in sports, a lot of times they don't even talk about sports. You know, they're talking about music trivia and silly things. But is that really getting the ratings? Is that really what program directors want?
There are a lot of stupid people out there that must think it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I punch in and out. I listen to a lot of stuff. I'm a huge Sirius XM guy because those are my guys, because I worked there for a while doing weekends for them. But, you know, you punch up a talk show. I heard one show one morning talking about wedding invitations. Oh, yeah? And another one was talking something about paying taxes. I said, well, geez, I got to make sure I circle 8 a.m. on Monday on my calendar, because I bet maybe you're going to talk about menopause on Sports Talk Radio. You got to be kidding me. You're driving me crazy. So, yes, thank you for the compliment. Yes, we did it right. We are bleeping brilliant.
We are bleeping brilliant. Well, you are, at least. All right, let's go here to October. He says, what a disaster with Russell Wilson. They're going to carry that cap hit for what, 2 years? Does Sean Payton survive that long?
Well, he must have had the approval of ownership that this did not work out. This is not on my watch, so let's make a move to get rid of it. Russell Wilson is going to be a nice minimal wage exemption for somebody to get. And you look at all the teams that got problems. I know up in Las Vegas, because I was on a show up there, they're talking nonstop Russell Wilson. Well, does that solve your long-term quarterback issue? Antonio Pierce made the comment at the Combine this past weekend, said we need to rip the Band-Aid off this. We need to go get a long-term quarterback. Well, they had one with Derek Carr, and they got as much as they could out of him, and they wound up letting him go to the New Orleans Saints. Does a 1 year or a year and a half rental of Russell Wilson make you a better team, or are you a better team to try to trade up and maybe get access to J.J. McCarthy? Or maybe you really do the in-depth evaluation of Bo Nix, Michael Penix. Could they be the next star in waiting? So, you know, the Raiders, based on their history, could rent Russell Wilson. Pittsburgh is going to meet with Russell Wilson, but that's a short-term rental. Do you not need a real long-term solution? And Raider fan says,
well, the Raiders, why not? You know, there's so many other great quarterbacks. You could do both, right? You could take Russell Wilson for a year while the new kid is kind of learning on the ropes, because you don't want to throw a Bo Nix out there opening day, you know, in September of 2024. It may be too much for him. But wouldn't it be nice to have Russell Wilson and then kind of transition to a Nix or a Drake May or somebody like that?
The only issue is if Russell Wilson's going to come play for 1.5 this year, because the Broncos are paying a salary, so you're going to want $38 million in the second year of the contract? You're going to pay him $38 million the second year to be a Raider?
Well, but if you cut him, then who takes the cap hit?
Depends how much of it's guaranteed, what kind of bonus, but
it's complicated.
It's just bad math.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with quarterbacks. The Russell Wilson thing, I still think he's got football left. You know, last year, as much as there had been issues and injuries, they were wrecked by injuries again. I think he threw 28 touchdown passes and 7 or 8 interceptions. He had a competitive year with a lot of problems around him, but obviously he and Sean Payton didn't see fit together, and that cap number is just monstrous.
Just brutal. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Roberto, and he says, hey, if the Padres get Tommy Pham, will he be a good fit now with the roster here?
Well, they kind of think so. He had a real bounce back last year. He finished up on real upbeat with Arizona. But I'll also tell you, we've seen this movie before. When he was here before, he hit 220, and he was a bit of a distraction. Is he a good team guy? I think he is a good team guy. I think he's a good clubhouse guy, just cut from a different cloth personality-wise. That's a huge question. But I guarantee you he's not coming to play in San Diego for $1.1 million. And the Padres don't have very much money left in their budget. I think that they'd like to retain some budget space below the luxury tax. So if somehow, some way they're in the wild card race, they could actually make an acquisition at the trade deadline. But if you're up against that luxury tax and you don't want to go over the tax again, because they've done it, a couple of years in a row, Pham can come in and play, and he'd give you innings and maybe hit a few home runs. But, if he starts to eat up, if he wants $5 million, I can't see the Padres doing that.
Have you noticed that some of the older free agents that haven't been signed yet have been turning in their retirement. They've been
Mhm.
announcing a retirement. I think Zunino, who's the catcher for the Rays,
Josh Donaldson.
and Josh Donaldson
Now,
was the other one.
some of that's injury related.
Mhm.
Some of those guys have a lot of mileage on them and just have had. Josh Donaldson just woke up one morning and just broke down. I mean, you talk about all the issues with his calf, hernia, hamstrings, boom. It turned out to be an old player. Real good baseball career. But at the end of the stage with the Yankees and in the Blue Jays, just you hate to see a guy hit 138 who was this power hitting, real good ball player for a chunk of time.
Yeah, that was a sad story. Let's move on. Let's go to John. How about having the A's play in Lake Elsinore?
Oh,
That's not a bad idea, but they probably wouldn't get the TV money because it's not Northern California.
that's right. This is a mess. That ownership is a mess. Why baseball allowed this mess to go on and on and on. That's a big issue too. So I don't know what the perfect solution is. I think, and it's easy for me to say because it's not my money, but I think you should take the franchise, you move it, you split your schedule between Vegas and Reno. Although playing in Vegas in the summer is going to be a bear. That's
Really?
so brutally hot.
Really?
But what you do is you just market it through the state of Nevada and the Rocky Mountain region. Come see Major League Baseball in these venues. But that's 3 years. That's a long time. And the union's going to raise hell about this.
Why can't they just go play in Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play? Can they make it fit?
You're talking about no, that's not a baseball stadium. No, that's stayed out like that.
Oh, it's
laid
like a
out.
big rectangle.
Oh, yeah, you can't play baseball there. And obviously the relationship with the Oakland Coliseum is just shredded. And, even if they go back and say, okay, we'll sign a 3-year extension to stay and let's make it work financially for you and us and blah, blah, blah. You think Oakland A's fan is going to come to a game? You think they want to support John Fisher, the owner, after what he's done to the heritage of the franchise? And by the way, the product is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the minor league stadiums are so good because it'd be a novelty for those fans.
Yeah,
Hey, there's another Oakland A's comment. Let me get this one in real quick for you, Lee. He says, Emmanuel says, with the A's new Las Vegas stadium designated or designed out this week, do you think that Fisher can build it?
Everybody seems to think it's going to get done. There seems to be an upswell, though, recently about using state funding for part of that deal. It's like $380 million is caught in the middle. I guess what shocks me, because Major League Baseball does not do what the NFL does. The NFL becomes a partner in the construction of new stadiums. They guarantee they will pour a certain amount of money into a new stadium, like the Buffalo Bills Stadium is being built right now, and the owner of the club pours amount of money in it. And then the cities and the counties, or to the states, they put it's an equal share thing to come up with the $1.3 billion for the Buffalo Bills Stadium. Baseball's never done that. And baseball's got a big checking account. Why would baseball not develop a plan like the NFL stadium plan where MLB puts money into the pot and the owner of the A's puts money into the pot, then the city and county come? I mean, it almost worked in San Diego with the Chargers, except your friend Dean Spanos refused to come to the negotiating table to do a deal because his eyes were set on going to Los Angeles. So why baseball has not become a, quote, partner to build stadiums? That just blows my mind. We're talking about expansion a couple of years from now. Are we talking Portland? Are we talking Nashville? Or are we talking Montreal? What if baseball became a partner in the financing for the new stadium in Portland or the one in Nashville? Or somebody said, go back to Montreal. Why wouldn't you want to be a partner? Because that guarantees the stability of the whole setup.
Well, I think as long as taxpayers are kicking in, they're going to milk that for as much as they can get from it. And it seems like that tap is starting to run dry.
Well, you got, no help in Oakland, mess in Tampa, still unresolved.
Yeah.
The Montreal Expos moved, couldn't get it done. So there's a big problem there, and it's no longer the era. And it's just not baseball. It's no longer the era of people walking around with their hands out. Give me a stadium, build it, pay for it, and give it to me. That doesn't happen anymore.
Not anymore.
Carry on.
Okay, carry on. This is from Hugh, and he goes, the ladies' line is open.
Oh, what's my favorite phrase? Raiders fan, be a man, call the ladies' line. Or Raiders Nation, out of jail on bail, call now.
Yeah. So did you get a lot of women calling in on the show on the ladies' line?
I got some. Yeah. And sometimes it was dark, so then we turned it into for the San Diego State fans, kiss my Aztec line.
I remember that. Hey, I want to go talk a little bit about social media. Here's a John Kentera comment. And This one is, let's get rid of Hugh's comment here. And he says, Lee, your podcast with Coach John Kentera and John Riley was outstanding, even with Riley's mic problems. Both of your guys' knowledge, even of today's sports scene, blows most others away. 99 yards. That's from Leisure Fryer.
That was from my NFL call. Chargers were playing in Seattle the year we went to the Super Bowl, and they were having a real tough time against the Seahawks. Were blitzing our brains out, and they had sacked Stan Humphries, the Chargers star quarterback, a bunch of times in the first half, and they pinned us back to the 1 yard line. And it was third down, and they come to the line of scrimmage. And I mean, the momentum, we were playing at Husky Stadium in Seattle because the Kingdom was in the process of being renovated. And we're playing in the outdoor stadium. The noise, the bedlam was unbelievable. And Humphreys comes out of the huddle, and I just made this comment, 3rd down and 99. What are you going to do? And Jim Laslovic, one of my color analyst partners, said, throw it. And Pat Curran, third man on the booth, said, throw it deep. And doggone Humphreys took a shotgun snap on 3rd and 99 through a slant pattern to Tony Martin, and Tony, because they were blitzing, beat the blitz. Tony Martin caught it, ran across the field, up the sidelines, went 99 yards for a touchdown. So that's what the 99-yard reference is.
I listened to that on the radio, and I remember I was blown away by it. But I just want to talk about Coach John Kentera. It was great having him here, Lee. And I hopefully he'll come back and join us a few more times.
Yeah, we're going to kick around a lot of ideas and see if we can just grow this thing. And if he could be part of it, that'd be kind of cool, because there are some of us out here on the street corner who aren't working in sports talk radio that are still bleeping brilliant in sports talk radio.
Well, you know it. All right, let's go here. Dodgers. He says, this is from R. Lupton. It says, Dodger loving Hacksaw. Hate to see it, but I suppose it was inevitable.
I like everything. Oh, come on. Just because I support Dave Roberts, I wrote a column about Dave Roberts on my website. If you haven't read my website, you're missing an awful lot. I wrote this huge column of Dodgers, Dave Roberts. You know what? I'm sorry. The scoreboard does not lie. How many division titles have the Dodgers won? How many World Series has the Dodgers won? Yeah, they might be the enemy up there on the 5, but that's their legacy. They've accomplished it. Respect them. Hope your team gets to do it again, etc. So don't be in grudge mode. Dude's wearing his Padre gear. So if I show up wearing Dodger gear that people sent me, don't be upset. I wear everything that's got a logo on it. But I want to see the Padres do well. You know, a year ago this time, were we excited?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the expectation a year ago this time was amazing. But I'm also dealing with the facts. And the facts are, and I hate to use this as a negative, but you lost your owner. You fired your manager. You traded your MVP, Juan Soto. You have lost your $60 million TV contract. You had to pay $40 million luxury tax to the commissioner's office because the contracts your GM gave out did not work out. You lost your Cy Young Award winner, your ace closer. You lost 3 other starting pitchers in your rotation. Those are the facts. That scoreboard does not lie, and that's what the Padres have to overcome now. So I'm not being negative for the sake of being negative. I'm just giving you the facts that are out there. Hope you understand that.
You know, it's a fun thing to follow, like a storyline on Twitter, is how fans try to figure out if a certain announcer is a fan of a team or if they're a hater of a team. And some fans are convinced of this in certain cases.
You looking at me?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they're thinking you're a Dodger loving Hacksaw.
No, I appreciate the accomplishments of the Dodgers going back to Jackie Robinson's era. I'm a baseball historian. I like balance. I like big plays and talking and getting excited, big plays. I hate losing. I hate when it sets in that wipes out a whole season, but those are the facts you have to deal with. But to be a talk show host is different than being the voice of a team. Your voice of the team, you want the team to do well, and you're going to paint the picture and you'll make some comments. Talk show host, I'll talk about everything about why they won or why they lost. That's part of my job responsibility. It has nothing to do with being a homer or hating anybody. It's just dealing with the facts. No?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But still, fans are always scheming. They think someone's out to get them, with some of these announcers. Hey, let's talk hockey fights here. This was a really hot topic.
Oh, boy.
In social media. From John Hopkins says, hey, what about that heavyweight? Well, there's actually a second one. This may be a little better than this one. But what about that heavyweight match in Saturday's Toronto Rangers game between Ryan Reeves and Matt Rempe? Or Friday, with former teammates Garrett Hathaway and Tom Wilson squared off at the urging of Flyers coach John Tortorella, who whispered into Hathaway's ear in an attempt to fire up the Flyers.
There's been an outbreak of real violent stuff in the league in the last couple of weeks. There've been, first of all, Rempe is a 6'7" guy. His hits along the boards are borderline illegal and dangerous. And he's an accident waiting to happen. You can't have nor tolerate guys running guys head first, face first into the boards. There was an awful hit in the Calgary. What game was it? It was Calgary Seattle game this past week. Terrible hit. The guy that got hit the blow could have broken his neck. And I asked the question, they just suspended the Calgary guy 3 games. This came after the Morgan Riley 5-game suspension. I just asked the question, do we need a death on the ice? Somebody to break their neck because of a cheap shot hit before we're going to take more rules? It's a great game. I understand you do bang. You do check. There will be hits. I don't understand taking 5 strides and planting a guy face first into the boards, into the glass. It's terrible. It's unethical. There's no reason it. You have a right to earn a living as a hockey player. I have a right. I don't have a right to take you out of the game with a brutal check that could maim you, cripple you, just so my team can win. That's not what hockey is. And they've gotten rid of the goons because of the salary cap. And I know there's a segment of society that says you need to have the players police the other guys if things get out of hand. Accidents do happen. Guys get speared. Guys get cut. Guys get hit with high sticks, etc. But some of the stuff we've seen, just going out looking for it, I just don't think the NHL needs to market Rempe getting involved with 4 fights in his first 6 games. And at the end of the day, I wrote this on social media, and I took a lot of heat. Those 2 guys in that haymaker fight, estimated time of arrival of CTE showing up that'll take their lives 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you got guys getting blows to the face, as many as some of these guys have taken, this is going to end up bad. It's going to end up like Bob Probert and some of these other guys who died or committed suicide, And Gary Bettman, there is no link between fights and concussions or concussions and CTE. What the hell college did you go to?
Really?
You ought to read some of the reports that I've read. So, I mean, it's a great game. We don't need vicious fights to sell the game of the NHL. I'll step away from the podium.
Well, hockey fans and social media were totally on the other side of this one. They insist that fighting is an important part of the game to protect the stars, to police the sport. Some even compared it to a Major League Baseball pitcher plunking a batter. Do you see them as parallel?
Does that mean a pitcher on the mound has a right to throw a ball to hit you in the temple of the head because the prior batter hit a home run? The inherent danger if you hit somebody in the temple or here with a fastball.
But they're getting high stick there, aren't they?
Who?
Well, these hockey players. I mean, they're getting
but some of those are accidental. If you take the goons out of the game, then there's no goons to do that kind of stuff. And then you don't need guys to respond if a guy gets cheap shotted and cheap shots Wayne Gretzky, because those goons will be gone. I'm sorry, we just don't need. I don't need to throw a fastball in your ear to prove something because I'm pissed the guy before you hit a 3-run home run. That's not sport. No,
I agree with you. I mean, I just think we know so much more scientifically about CTE.
Yes.
We got to protect these players. Okay, let's move on here. Talk a little bit about Blake Snell. This is from One Man Nation. He says Blake Snell is a victim of his own for being greedy and listening to Scott Boras, who everyone knows is the king of greediness.
Well, he does things for his clients. He's very successful. By the way, I wrote a column about Scott Boras on my website. If you're a baseball fan, you should check that out. At the end of the day, though, because of the luxury tax and all that, a lot of money's been spent and there's not a lot of money out there left. And then as we talked about last week, now the situation with Blake Snell, he's a free agent, yes, but the Padres gave him a qualifying offer of $20 million that he rejected. By virtue of rejecting that, anybody that signs Blake Snell now gives up a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick as compensation. So if you've got a team, and I'll just walk through this again. The Yankees were interested in Blake Snell. The Yankees offered a 6-year contract. Scott Boras came back and said, I want opt-outs after years 1, 2, and 3. The Yankees said no. Scott Boras said, why? Well, he knows why. Because if the Yankees signed Blake Snell, $30 million a year was the deal. Yankees had to pay a tax on the $30 million per season. And because they've been over the threshold so many times, the tax is 110%. So if the Yankees sign Blake Snell, they have to give up $33 million as a tax payment each year. So instead of a $30 million contract, it's really a $63 million contract. Okay, so it's $33 million, and because it was offered by the Padres, they have to give up a 2 and a 5 in draft pick compensation, and because of the fact they're over the limit, they forfeit $100,000 of their international signing pool. Well, their signing pool only has 500,000, so you're giving up a chunk of your international pool too, all to get him, who could opt out after the first year. What kind of business decision is that?
Well, what's Snell going to do? I mean, do you think we're getting near opening day? Do you think he may run out of time and not get signed anywhere?
I find that hard to believe because there are people still need pitching who have budget space.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll circle back. The Angels owner needs to do something to save his franchise and save whatever credibility Artie Moreno has left. Sign him to a 3-year deal and give him an opt-out after the second year. He'll be a free agent after the third year. But I wouldn't give him an opt-out after one because you're paying a lot of money and you're giving up draft picks. So I don't want him one and done here because it's the cost of the contract and what you're giving up. Big issue. It's very complicated. Did he put too much trust in Scott Boras? Boras gets results for virtually all of his clients. But we're sitting here right now, just before the Dodgers and Padres leave to go open the season in South Korea. And we're sitting here, there's 2 weeks left in spring, 3 weeks left in spring training. Snell's available. Jordan Montgomery's still available. JT Martinez available. And they're all Scott Boras clients.
Well, do you think Boras is greedy? Is that, I mean, that's what, One Man Nation was saying. Is it greed?
Doing his business for his clients.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I think that ball players are trying to make the most they can. Sports talk show hosts are trying to make the most they can. And teams are trying to maximize their budget. So everyone's seeking their self-interest, but is it greed? I don't know. I think he's just trying to get what he thinks he deserves.
It's his business, the way he shapes the business and what he wants done.
Yeah.
He only represents great players. He doesn't represent the 28th guy on your Padres, your Dodgers, or Angel roster.
That's true.
So he wants the marquee guys he can get the biggest payday for with the highest average salary. And if we can creatively finance it, great. And now all of a sudden he's into this opt-out thing at the last minute to try to get his guys signed.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Bellinger, Cubs, opt-out. Things like that. So tough because most everybody's spent their money. And because of the price you have to pay, if you've been over the tax limit, maybe I don't want to do $30 million plus a $33 million tax plus give up 2 draft picks to make that deal happen or forfeit international signing bonus. It's really a tough call. I think he'll get signed by opening day, but here's the other reality. He's up in Seattle, and that's where he lives in the off season. And he's throwing at his high school stadium. That's not amping up, getting ready to throw in a major league bullpen or to get ready for a game. So he's going to be, I think, behind the curve when the season opens. And geez, you don't want to pay this guy. This guy comes in a little bit late, and then the guy's trying to catch up, and then he gets hurts his arm or something.
And he has a history of slow starts too.
Yes, on top of it. So very unique set of circumstances. I think he'll be signed. I don't think he'll get the contract he wanted. Be fascinated to see how much longer this goes.
Yeah.
All right, listen,